It's good to be with you again. I'm Lyle White from the Seasware Academy of Life. I'm joined by Cornelius Greyling from VulaCoin and Johan Bosman, also from VulaCoin. We have spoken about the broader global environment, the dynamics around connectivity, the challenges around development, and how this relates to connectivity. And we've kind of honed in on the context, in the South African context especially. But what I'm most curious about now is an area that you are focused on, and that is VulaCoin and how this interfaces with the internet, really, essentially, or how this facilitates our access. And so my question is quite simple. What is VulaCoin? How does it work? Cornelius, maybe you want to kick things off.
Yeah, so VulaCoin is a payment experience. So once an ISP has decided, listen here, the next phase of growth is in these second-tier economies or townships, and they've accepted that the best way to access this customer base is through a pay-as-you-go business model by allowing them small increments and allowing them to test the product before they dive in. They kind of run into this problem of the consumer they're trying to solve has not got this history of transacting online. So what VulaCoin does is we simplify the transaction process around buying internet.
Yeah, it's always about simplifying things. It's always about taking out the friction. Frictionless processes are essential, and especially in these types of markets. Johan, maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more on this and how it works and what the process or what the experience is like.
Yeah, sure. We alluded to it earlier, but I think the biggest differentiating factor is that it's time-based. So what we've created is the capability for the ISP to create various products based on time. So whichever the cost sort of looks like on their side, they want to sell internet for an hour, they want to sell internet for a day, for a week, for a month. We've created the capability where time is allocated to internet use. We've seen that the capabilities for these specific communities to interact with service providers on a monthly basis is just not possible. It's a cash-driven community. It's massive amounts of cash that moves through there, but it's the only way they're capable of transacting.
So tell me something, Cornelius, how do you simplify the payment process?
Yeah, so by looking at the customer and how they transact at the moment, right? So what we've done is over the last 18 months, working with ISPs, actually already serving these communities, going into various townships across South Africa and actually looking at the consumer and how do they currently purchase things. So the first thing we realize is that they purchase in small amounts. They'll go to a spaza shop and buy just enough sugar for today, right? So that's where the pay-as-you-go model comes in. We just give enough for today. But also just how they interact. So Johan mentioned cash is very prevalent in these communities. So what we've done on our side is we've created this concept of an agent. So but any one of your customers can become an agent to distribute your internet. And what an agent does is it collects cash from people around them and bundles it together and then tops up in large amounts. So basically what they do is they top up in large amount and then they distribute it in small pieces around and collecting the cash. And that's how we collect cash in the communities, through these agents. And then the agent can use that cash to top up again and sell again and top up again and sell again. And by doing this over and over, they actually create a side hustle and a business by connecting people to the internet. And that this carries a lot of benefits for the customer, because now I'm not buying from this faceless corporation. I'm actually buying from my neighbor, or I'm buying from my uncle, or I'm buying from my cousin, or I'm buying from my niece. I'm buying from people I know.
So it builds community as well in the process.
Yeah, number one. So I'm buying from somebody I know. There's an inherited trust level. Number two is if something goes wrong, I go to the person I just bought from and they become my first level of support. So there's two ways that ISPs benefit from this. Number one is you create a distribution channel that people trust because it's people they know. And you save on support costs because the first person they contact is not you. They contact the person they bought the internet from. That person can actually just walk around to their house and help them quickly with the internet problem. And then lastly, what we've done is we've just integrated a bunch of different payment options that are really prevalent in the South African context. Payment operators like Flash, for instance, with their One For You voucher, we allow instant EFTs, we allow card payments. So we've just made all the different options of paying available. And basically that has opened up this market for our ISP.
And Johan, just from your interactions with the community, the user experience thus far,
it's quite astonishing. We ran some of these workshops, and especially with the younger kids, 18 and between, let's say, the age of 16 and 18, the adoption of technology in these communities are actually quite surprising. You would imagine that not many people have access to smartphones, or if they do, there might be a latency in understanding the technology. I was actually quite astounded when we launched this product to that segment of the market. People just got it. They understand the technology, they know how to use it. And that sort of permeates through the community as well. If you, like Cornelius said, with the agents, it's someone that lives next door, but at the same time, understanding that technology, understanding how that works and how that can benefit. There's a component of word of mouth that goes through the community that assists in quite a big way.
It's an incredible thing. I mean, just one quick point on this adoption. I think back roughly 15 years ago, when M-Pesa was launched in Kenya. Just another context, but a relevant one, because there in Kenya we have Kibera, which is the largest informal settlement on the African continent, with anywhere between, they say, and here we go, numbers again, numbers are always a little bit strange on the African continent, but anywhere between, say, 300,000 people and 1.2 million people there. But 15 years ago, they launched this cashless transaction, M-Pesa, which became one of the biggest brands in Africa. And the first thing the people that were saying when they did similar workshops to what you mentioned now is the adoption rates between the ages of 15 and 22 or so. That segment was just astounding. And I kept on thinking, wow, these Kenyans have got such great adoption rates, and we can see it now in our very own communities. It's quite phenomenal.
And a big problem in South Africa is youth unemployment, right? And what VulaCoin allows us through this agent models, through the young kids that understand the technology and get it very quickly, they can actually monetize that skill by becoming the distributor of internet in their community, in their street. And another thing we realize is the typical ISP experience in the past is you'll interact with your ISP the day you sign up. And then you'll phone them and probably moan because they're taking too long to install your router, number one. And then the second time you interact with your ISP is when you move and you cancel your contract. Throughout the next 12 months or 24 months, you never hear from your ISP again. You don't talk to them. It's just a nameless debit order that goes off your account every month. In a pay-as-you-go instance, is actually you're asking the customer to interact with you and your brand on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that whole connecting, getting online is frictionless. And that's something we've focused on rigorously, and that's something we don't think will ever be solved. It's something we're always going to be pushing and improving over the next, how many years. It's this frictionless buying experience. How do you get somebody online with 2 or 3 clicks? And because it's something they have to do on a daily basis, and that's what VulaCoin does. Is number one is we allow this pay-as-you-go business model by allowing ISPs to create time-based products. Number 2 is we allow community involvement through this agent model, empowering your customers become your distribution channel and keeping some of the value generated by the internet inside of the community. And number 3 is creating this seamless user experience because you're asking your customer to come back on a daily basis. And those are kind of the 3 main benefits we give to ISPs.
And perhaps if I may, number 4 is you inadvertently improve the customer relations between the ISP and the end user. It's quite phenomenal. Whereas that's maybe something that hasn't been focused on. Now, all of a sudden, VulaCoin, like I say, inadvertently actually improves that relationship. I've got another question then around other products and other innovations that you've come about. And it might not be physical products, but maybe just different kind of business processes and sales and things. What else has come about through VulaCoin and your inception into the community?
Yeah, if you look at the current OSS, BSS platform, there's a lot of acronyms here, but people in the ISP will know these words. Hotspots were in the past, purely used at airport lounges. If you think about the airport lounge, it's usually a horrible user experience, right? But it's a captive market. It's somebody just waiting for their flight. They want to just get online for the next 20 minutes. If it's a horrible experience, it's fine. And that's kind of where it stopped. Where we kind of going to listen, hotspots or pay-as-you-go internet, we bring it into people's homes. And how does that look different than the kind of this nameless, faceless internet connection at an airport? And one of the key things we've actually looked at is if you say these communities are strong, community-driven, aspects, stuff like stock files are quite big in these communities, group buying. And one of the innovations we've just brought out a few weeks ago and have seen a massive success and uptake rate is this ability to create circles or tribes. You can create on your profile, you can add up to 4 people to your tribe, and through that you create this group buying experience where instead of buying individual bundles just for myself, I can buy a bundle for my tribe. Okay, yeah, I pay a slightly higher fee, but as a group, we all benefit because as a group, it's much cheaper. And you actually activate this kind of group buying mentality that's a very strong aspect of township living. So I buy the internet today, Johan buys the internet tomorrow, you buy the internet the day after, and then it's my turn again. But by doing that, is we increase the buying frequency in groups, and we also allow people to create these small communities inside of the larger community to buy internet. And this is kind of just one of the innovations we're looking to over the next 12 months, right? As we move from this solving this basic problem of just allowing this internet experience to be simple and easy, allowing this agents to think, we're kind of like in the next phase of VulaCoin, like how do we take this hotspot model and make it relevant to the customer inside of their house? And circles or tribes being our first feature in that route.
Such an incredible innovation, really, in how we, how you literally, VulaCoin is not only first leveraging off the community and obviously co-creating something that is specific for the community, but apart from leveraging, VulaCoin is essentially a driver of community building. And that's a phenomenal thing when we look at the market potential. It's a very, very exciting time, and I can only see it growing. And obviously, when you see it growing, what you describe now around making the circle bigger, the tribe kind of concept, is how we scale these models. And I know for certain that this is something that low-income markets, townships are going to really, really need going forward as we unlock the potential of the South African economy. Guys, thank you very much. Been wonderful spending time with you. I look forward to the next conversation.